Carlos Alcaraz is just greedy, because how are you going to play two classic all-time matches in the span of 8 months? Like, if saving 3 championship points against your greatest rival to win the longest ever Roland Garros final wasn't enough, now the guy's won the longest ever Australian Open semifinal in 5 hours and 27 minutes, overcoming not only Zverev, but cramps and low-key choking.
Carlos Alcaraz just survived a 5-hour and 27-minute war against Alexander Zverev to reach his first Australian Open final. The world number 1 came dangerously close to blowing a 2-set lead for the first time in his career, but somehow pulled off another miraculous 5-set victory. Zverev had him on the ropes. The comeback looked inevitable, and then Alcaraz remembered he's physically incapable of losing these matches. Do you think Alcaraz will finally lose after winning the first 2 sets at some point? Or is this stat going to last forever? Drop your prediction below. Let's start with the most absurd statistic in modern tennis. Carlos Alcaraz has now won 15 out of 16 career matches that went to a 5th set. That's a 93.75% win rate in the most physically and mentally demanding situations professional tennis can produce. And the one match he lost? That was against Matteo Berrettini in the 3rd round of the 2022 Australian Open when Alcaraz was still a developing player. But here's the even more ridiculous part. Alcaraz has never, not once, lost a match after winning the first 2 sets. Not in juniors, not as a professional, not at any level of competition. He's taken a 2-set lead numerous times, and every single time, he's found a way to close it out, until Alexander Zverev came within 1 set of breaking that streak.
Carlos, you were struggling. You're still struggling physically. You were struggling badly in the middle of this match. You were down a break the whole way in the 5th set. How in the world did you win this tennis match?
Believing all the time. I think I always say that you have to believe in yourself, no matter what, no matter what you're struggling, you've been through, no matter anything, you gotta still believing in yourself all the time. I was struggling in the middle of the 3rd set. You know, it's physically it was one of the most demanding, matches that I have ever played in my short career, I would say.
The match lasted 5 hours and 27 minutes. That's not just a long tennis match. That's an endurance test that would break most human beings. For context, that's longer than most commercial flights across the United States. That's longer than extended editions of Lord of the Rings movies. That's approaching half a workday of constant, brutal physical competition. Alcaraz won the first 2 sets, putting himself in complete control. Zverev, who's now lost 3 Grand Slam finals and continuously fails to break through at the biggest moments, looked finished. The match seemed over. Commentators were already talking about the final matchup. Fans were leaving to beat traffic. Then Zverev did something he almost never does in big matches. He fought back. He won the 3rd set, then the 4th set. Suddenly, the impossible comeback was happening. The statistic that defined Alcaraz's career was about to die in front of a global audience. And honestly, Zverev deserved to complete that comeback based on how he played in those middle sets. But Alcaraz has this supernatural ability to find another level exactly when he needs it.
It looked like a pretty straightforward 3-set win for Carlos, in that he would go 60-0 in majors after winning the first 2 sets. But all of a sudden, it seemed like cramps was hitting him at 4-all in the 3rd set. The guy's so good, he still came within 2 points of winning the match twice in this 3rd set. But he could not close, and low-key looked like he was walking to the net towards the start of the 4th set to retire against Zverev because he was struggling that bad. I gotta give credit to Zverev too, because I thought he would fold, especially after getting all routed about Carlos getting a medical timeout, but he dug deep really well and was able to push Carlos to the brink, who started feeling better towards the end of that.
In the 5th set, when his body should have been shutting down, when mental fatigue should have destroyed his decision-making, he somehow elevated his game again. He broke Zverev's serve at the critical moment and closed out the match, preserving both his perfect record after 2-set leads and his nearly perfect record in 5-set matches. The physical conditioning required to repeatedly win these marathon matches is genuinely incomprehensible. This wasn't Alcaraz's first 5-hour-plus match. He defeated Jannik Sinner in the 2025 Roland Garros final in a match that also lasted exactly 5 hours and 27 minutes. Same duration, different tournament, same result. Alcaraz winning, despite being pushed to absolute physical limits. That French Open final was particularly brutal because Alcaraz actually lost the first 2 sets before mounting a historic comeback. So he's proven he can win 5 setters from ahead and from behind. He can win them on clay, grass, and hard courts. He can win them against top 5 opponents and against dangerous lower-ranked players. There's no scenario in 5-set tennis where Alcaraz doesn't have a proven track record of success. Let's examine his 5-set record across Grand Slams because it's genuinely absurd. At Wimbledon, he's won 5-set matches against Yasutaka Uchiyama in 2021, Jan-Lennard Struff in 2022, Novak Djokovic in the 2023 final, and Francis Tiafoe in 2024. That's 4 wins, including a championship against arguably the greatest grass court player ever. At Roland Garros, he's won 5 setters against Albert Ramos in 2022, twice against Sinner in 2024 and 2025, and against Zverev in 2024. 3 of those matches were either finals or semifinals. One of them was a comeback from 2 sets down against the current world number 2. That's championship-level resilience. At the US Open, Alcaraz has won 5-set matches against Stefanos Tsitsipas and Peter Gojowczyk in 2021, and against Marin Cilic, Sinner, and Tiafoe in 2022. 6 victories from 6 attempts at Flushing Meadows. Perfect record on American hard courts when matches go the distance.
Sunday, you'll be playing for your first Australian Open title. You'll also be going... You'll also be attempting to become the youngest man to ever win all 4 of the majors, a career Grand Slam. What would it mean to you to do that on Sunday night?
Well, thank you to put so much pressure on me right now. Kidding. No, don't worry. I'm just really happy, to have the chance to play my first final here in Melbourne. This is something that I was pursuing a lot, chasing a lot, having the chance, to fight for the title. I think it's been a great 2 weeks so far. I think my level were increasing a lot. But one thing that I gotta say is I couldn't stay here right now, doing this interview without these guys. It's been. It was for me, a real pleasure, playing in front all of you.
And now at the Australian Open, he's added Zverev to that list with his first ever final appearance at Melbourne Park. The only Grand Slam where he previously lost a 5th set was the 2022 Australian Open against Berrettini. He's now avenged that loss by reaching the final 4 years later. The mental fortitude required to maintain this level of success in deciding sets is what separates Alcaraz from talented players who can't close. Tennis is brutal on the mind in ways that team sports aren't. There's nobody to pass to when you're tired. There's no substitution. There's no timeout where a coach can settle you down. It's just you, alone on the court, dealing with physical exhaustion and mental pressure simultaneously. And in those moments, Alcaraz consistently makes better decisions than his opponents. He doesn't panic when facing breakpoints. He doesn't tighten up when serving for the match. He doesn't make unforced errors at critical moments. His shot selection remains aggressive but smart. His movement stays sharp even after 5 hours. His serve location stays precise even when his arm must feel like it's going to fall off. Zverev, by contrast, has now lost 3 Grand Slam finals and repeatedly fails to deliver in the biggest moments. He's an incredible player who can beat anyone on a given day. But when the pressure reaches maximum levels, he tightens up. His serve becomes less effective. His ground strokes lose depth. His movement gets sluggish, and he loses to players who handle pressure better. This Australian Open semi-final was Zverev's opportunity to finally break through against an elite opponent in a deciding set of a Grand Slam. He'd already erased a 2-set deficit, which requires tremendous mental strength. He had all the momentum. The crowd was energized by the comeback. Alcaraz looked physically compromised at various points. Everything was set up for Zverev to complete the historic comeback and reach another Grand Slam final. But he couldn't finish. Because when you're playing Carlos Alcaraz in a fifth set, you're not just playing against a talented opponent. You're playing against someone who has conditioned himself physically and mentally to thrive in exactly these situations. You're playing against someone whose entire identity is built around refusing to lose when matches go the distance. The comparison to Novak Djokovic's prime is inevitable and appropriate. Djokovic built his legacy partially on being unbeatable in five-set matches at Grand Slams. His physical conditioning and mental resilience in deciding sets became legendary. Opponents knew that if they couldn't finish him in straight sets or four sets, they were probably going to lose because Djokovic in a fifth set was nearly unstoppable. Alcaraz is developing that same reputation while he's still only 22 years old. Players are going to start feeling defeated when matches go to a fifth set against him because the historical data suggests they have almost no chance of winning. That psychological advantage compounds over time as the statistic becomes more widely known and more intimidating. The strategic implications of this are fascinating. Opponents facing Alcaraz need to either blow him out in straight sets, which is extremely difficult against a player of his caliber, or they need to somehow close him out in four sets. Allowing the match to go to a fifth set is essentially accepting defeat based on his historical performance. But closing out Alcaraz in four sets when he's already won one set is also incredibly difficult because he adjusts so well mid-match. His coaching team clearly does excellent work analyzing opponent patterns and identifying tactical adjustments. And Alcaraz has the shot-making ability and court coverage to implement those adjustments effectively. So opponents are stuck in an impossible bind. They can't reliably beat him quickly. They can't beat him in deciding sets. And they can't prevent him from making tactical adjustments that neutralize their initial game plan. It's a nightmare scenario for anyone facing him at a Grand Slam. The Australian Open has been Alcaraz's weakest Grand Slam historically, which makes this breakthrough particularly significant. He'd never been past the quarterfinals in Melbourne before this tournament. The fast hard courts didn't suit his game as well as the clay at Roland Garros or the grass at Wimbledon, and the extreme heat during Australian summers created additional physical challenges. But he's clearly figured something out because this tournament run has been dominant. He's reached his first Australian Open final, completed his set of reaching finals at all four Grand Slams, and reinforced his status as the best five-set player in men's tennis right now. The final will be against either Jannik Sinner or Novak Djokovic, and honestly, neither opponent is particularly scary for Alcaraz at this point. He's already beaten Sinner in five-set Grand Slam finals twice, including that absurd French Open comeback. He's beaten Djokovic in a five-set Wimbledon final. If this match goes the distance, which is entirely possible, Alcaraz has to be considered the favorite based purely on historical performance. The physical recovery between the semifinal and final is going to be crucial. 5 hours and 27 minutes of tennis absolutely destroys the body. Alcaraz will need every bit of his recovery protocols, physio work, and natural youth to be ready for another potential 5-hour battle in the final. But if anyone can recover from that kind of physical toll in 48 hours, it's probably Alcaraz given his track record. The broader narrative around Alcaraz is shifting. He's no longer just a talented young player with potential. He's now a proven Grand Slam champion with multiple titles who has demonstrated the physical and mental capability to win the longest, most grueling matches in tennis. That's the profile of a generational talent who could dominate men's tennis for the next decade. His game has no obvious weaknesses that opponents can exploit consistently. His serve is strong enough to win free points, but also varied enough to set up aggressive returns. His forehand is one of the most devastating shots in tennis. His backhand is reliable and can generate offense when needed. His movement is exceptional, allowing him to defend at levels most players can't reach. And his net game is developing nicely, adding another dimension to his overall skill set. But beyond the technical skills, it's the mental and physical attributes that make Alcaraz truly special. The ability to play 5+ hours and maintain high-level tennis is rare. The ability to make smart tactical decisions while completely exhausted is rarer. The ability to do both while handling the psychological pressure of Grand Slam semifinals and finals. That's what separates all-time greats from very good players. Zverev gave everything he had in this match. He fought back from 2 sets down, which requires tremendous courage and belief. He played excellent tennis in the 3rd and 4th sets. He created opportunities in the 5th set. But it wasn't enough because Alcaraz simply refuses to lose these matches. And that's the most terrifying thing for the rest of the men's tennis tour. Alcaraz isn't just talented. He's developed an unbreakable belief that he will win 5-set matches. That belief becomes self-fulfilling because it allows him to stay aggressive and trust his game even when physically compromised. He's not hoping to survive. He's expecting to win. The Australian Open final is now set up perfectly for Alcaraz to complete his collection. He's won at Wimbledon, the US Open, and Roland Garros. Melbourne is the only Grand Slam missing from his trophy case. And after surviving a 5-hour-plus semi-final, the final almost feels like a formality at this point. That's probably overconfident, and Sinner or Djokovic will absolutely push him to his limits if they get the opportunity. But based on what we've seen from Alcaraz in deciding sets, especially at Grand Slams, it's hard to bet against him. He's proven repeatedly that when the match goes long, he finds a way to win. That's not luck. That's systematic excellence in the most demanding circumstances professional tennis creates. 5 hours and 27 minutes later, he's heading to his first Australian Open final with his perfect 5th set record still intact. Zverev gave everything, and it still wasn't enough because Alcaraz in deciding sets is basically unbeatable. Hit that like button and subscribe to watch him complete the career Grand Slam collection.